Yo, what's up? This is alucidwolf. We're gonna get into some Vue JS today. It's just a JavaScript framework for controlling data and displaying it to the view, or to the UI, and kind of manipulating it that way. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna be looking at select and changing other select fields based off of what the user chooses in a certain selection. So I see that I've experienced this commonly in using forms and building forms that users interact with. But what I want to focus on for this is not only can we do this just normally using HTML5 elements, right, in a normal select, but a lot of times you want to enhance it so that the user can search, the user can use autocomplete, or we can load data based off what somebody types in the search box. We can go query an API, bring back some data, and populate it. So things kind of change a little bit when you start bringing in a library or something like that. So we're going to look at the basic way to do it first, and then we're going to bring in a library and kind of build from there. So I'm going to give you a look at what the final product kind of looks like, or the final product for this sandbox, and then we're just kind of gonna build a fresh one out from scratch. We're gonna mess up, we're gonna console log a bunch of stuff to make sure we're doing stuff right. But so this is just a normal one on the left side. What I did is just create make and model of cars. So based on what you select here, this will then populate. You can see it's empty right now. So if I select Honda, then just the options that are available to Honda in the data model are going to show here. So if I go Toyota, we see that it changes. So that's going to be how this kind of interacts just with using the native HTML5, or select native HTML element. But then if we want to bring in a component or a library utilizing components in Vue to generate that DOM element for us, then some things kind of change, get a little weird. We got to kind of learn how Vue takes advantage of some of the directives and things like that. So we're just going to take a look. If I select all suites, we get a bunch of options that appear here. If I select, say, suite 1, then just this will appear. I kind of mimicked what I did over here in this, but this is using a library to control this. So we're actually using a component of Vue to generate this select. So then if I just select some of these options, it also builds the data for these, and hit build. We can see kind of what the output would be, and this is for the make and model. If we were to select all and build this like that, then we'd see those would kind of populate. So we can see how we can build something dynamically, render the data, and then pass this into maybe a post, and then get something back and notify the user of what their next step is, or something along the lines. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we're going to get started. So I just opened a folder in Visual Studio Code, and we are going to just stick to the basics. I'm not going to be using Webpack or any crazy new spread operators or shit in JavaScript. We're just going to do some straight up HTML and just get things cooking. So let's create a new HTML file. Go ahead and space that out. So I have a reference that I'm using for some easy, to make sure I don't get lost as we walk through this. So do bear with me as I get some things set up. So first, what we're going to need to do, obviously, is we're going to need to bring in Vue JS. So obviously there's a lot of ways you can do this. You can npm that shit. You can just do, bring it in. It's all different ways. But we're just going to go straight to the source, and we're just going to grab this. Is that one? Yep. Is it 2.5? Okay. Sweet. Let's go to the raw for that, and we're just gonna grab this. Keep it just like building a Like building a static website, you know. We're just doing this to learn how Vue works, not how to build HTML pages, you know what I'm saying? Alright, so we pulled in Vue, right? We know we're going to need that, so we'll start with that. We're not going to bring in a library yet, we're not there. And we're going to use another JavaScript file. Let's call it basic JS. No, call it something better. Cars. Sure. Yeah, we're doing makes and models of cars and stuff. Sure, why not? So I'm just gonna do an iffy here so that I can run this stuff just like a doc ready, right? We'll come back to that later when we want to build some stuff. We got that, don't need that. Let's make sure we bring in our cars.js after. Okay, sweet. Let's do a container here. Bring in some bootstrap. Some quick styles. I'm not explaining styles and shit. Can I word wrap this? Okay, fine, sweet. Alright, cool. So we'll put everything in there, brought in Bootstrap, bringing in our library for Vue, and then we brought in our cars. This is where we're going to build our Vue up. So I'm just going to initialize a new Vue, kind of how I like to start to do things. So we're just going to do add car Vue. Sure. We'll new up a Vue. Alright, get that indented. And a couple things we need. We're going to need to declare what our app is, right? So this ID is going to match whatever ID we put on our wrapper. So we just make that match, right? Simple enough. And then we need our data object. That's going to hold all of the data we're going to use to populate our select fields. And then what are we going to need after that? Are we going to want any methods for this one? I don't think so. I think we can just bind stuff how we're going to, how Vue lets us do it. So let's leave that for now. We just kind of structured where our Vue is going to be and where we're going to put the data that we're going to build inside of our app right here. So I think all we need to do is, I'm not going to do the 2 columns like in the example. Let's just drop it in a container. Fine. Okay, yeah, let's do it. So we need, is it offset first? I don't know. We'll have to make sure we can. View in different browser. No, listen to me. Why will it not do that? Okay, whatever. Can I? Yes. Boom. Okay, fine. That's gravy. So let's put this in a, did I get Bootstrap 3 or Bootstrap 4? Okay, did they do away with wells in that? Yeah, oh well, that's fine. Okay, just trying out some Bootstrap classes to see. This is just going to make it 50% wide and then push it in the middle, so if it's actually doing that. Which... it's not. Nope, I can't even spell. I put the dash in the wrong spot. Maybe it's not because it's not even... Bro. Yo, it doesn't matter. It looks fine. We're not doing that for this. Alright, so what are we going to do next? We need some select boxes, okay? But let's actually make sure that our view is linked up, right? So we'll do our heading. right? So we just do the mustaches, and inside the data, we'll do our heading, and we'll make it set to string, which says select as, no, just select. You select, sure. So why isn't it linked up? Brought in view. What's console tell us? It's not a constructor. No, it's just, this is just supposed to be view. Why did it auto? Oh, maybe I tabbed into that. Sweet. Okay. Now we are good to go. Just got our heading. Wanted to make sure our view was linked up correctly, which is good because it wasn't. I guess I tabbed through that. So as long as this syntax is right, we're actually newing up a view and assigning it here. So since this is going to run automatically on document ready, that's going to get created. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll actually come down here and I'll do a add car view dot init and invoke that function, and then after our data object we can set a methods and then open that object, and then we can set an init function, and then what this will do is basically set, if we need to set some data or do a bunch of other things, say we want to load a loading animation and then fill the data after we fetch it from an API, and then once that's complete we can hide the loading animation so all the data loads without the user actually seeing the UI jumping around. That's kind of something what I use this for. So when we start building data here, say when we start doing makes, you know, I might just initialize things empty, right? If we do makes options, I might just initialize this as an empty array, and then down here in the initialize method that we call, what I like to do is I'll create a variable set self equal to this, because this can get a little crazy if you start doing some more elaborate things inside the methods. This doesn't refer to what you think it does anymore. So this is always going to refer, in this case, right, in this scope right here, this is actually going to refer to data object, right, this view. So anything in this data you can relate to that. So what I'll do, for example, is we'll come here and we'll do something along the lines of, we'll set self equal to this, and then we can do self dot makes options, and then we can set that equal to our data object, right? That's going to include all the makes of different cars. So that's kind of how we're gonna, that way our data object's kind of clean. You can immediately see what the key is and what type of data it is, right? You can immediately see this is string, these are arrays, and you know, once you actually populate or reset what this is equal to, right, down here, it just makes kind of your data a little cleaner, and then you can look at how it's filled. So let's create the selects, and then we can jump back in there. So before our selects, we need a label. We'll set a make, right, because we're going to do our make first before our model. We'll set up a select. This is still going to be make ID of, oh, whoops, double tab there, and it doesn't need to be caps. Make select. This is actually going to have options, which we're going to loop through. We don't need the value for that yet, so we'll get there in a second. And Bootstrap, I like to set a class, form control, perfect. So we can go ahead and just make sure, actually no, we're gonna see it appear right there, boom, but we got nothing in there. Fine, that's fine. We're actually gonna need to put this in a form group so it looks proper with Bootstrap. Did I save it? Man, oh, you know what it is? It's because I've been using Bootstrap 3 for so long, just by default I go to Bootstrap 3. They changed so much stuff in Bootstrap 4, all the classes I'm used to aren't there. So form group, spell that right. Form control, spell that right. There it is. Okay, help if I could spell. That is lesson number 1. Fucking spell correctly. Okay, so class, name, make, model. not at the model yet. So this option, we're going to loop through, but we need to know what data we need to loop through, right? Let me see if I can split this and we can make this happen really groovy. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'm liking that. Sweet. I can even move in over that some more. Okay, awesome. So we got makes, right? I don't know why it keeps making this capital. Stop making that capital, bro. Stop. Okay. So we got the makes, right? So now let's build what's actually going to live in the makes options, right? So it's just going to be an array of objects. Excuse me. So we'll come up here, and our first one is going to be a Honda. Oh, I need that as a string. Easy enough, right? Building an object. We'll give this an ID of 1, okay? Then we'll split this off. We'll make our next object. You guys can format this however you want. You know, I know some people like to put all this on a single line, right? They'll actually split the object here, and they'll do something like this, and then just keep these tight. We can do it like that. That's fine with me. And then that way I can just duplicate this, and let's do 4. Sure. Okay. So what are we gonna do here? Watch if I do that. Yeah. Fuck that. Okay. Text. Those can all stay. Change the IDs. We want Hondas. We want Toyotas. We're going foreign today. Nissan. And Suzuki. Sweet. Oh, it's gone on auto. Let's see if I can change that right quick. Oh, geez. Format on save. Editor format on save, sure. Yes, okay, so if I do that, it still works, but if I don't, okay, sweet. Alright, and I'm not going to change the setting. Okay, sweet. So we just set the makes, right? Awesome. So let's jump back to our index over here, and we have this. So I actually want to attach this to make, not makes here. That doesn't need to be plural. And we'll set this to null. That's fine. Singular and plural. That's great. Okay. So we'll come here, and what we're going to do is we're going to attach this to the view model, make, right? So what that'll do is this attaches it to here, right? So when this changes, that value will live here so that we can then use it when we get to our next select, which will become very clear when we talk through it. So then what we need to do is we're going to take the makes options here, right? Because we're building it. We're going to come over to our options, and we're going to do our v4, which is just the for loop for Vue. And we're going to say for each option in makes options, I want you to bind the ID. So v bind ID, no, value. We want to bind the ID to the value. That's correct. And since we use option here in makes options, so each one of these is going to loop through, and then we're going to extract the option out of that, the ID out of each of those options, and we're going to attach that. Sweet. Then we're going to build our mustaches or braces, whatever the fuck you want to call them. We're going to access that option again in each of the loops, and then we're going to take the text out of that and add it there. Sweet. So we attach this to the make, so when anything in here, which is each of these, right, because we're looping through it, it's going to update that make, so then we can pass this make into other things. Sweet. Let's make sure we didn't fuck anything up. Alright, sweet. It worked. Okay. Now, easy. We just want to add something so that, excuse me, we're going to give this a value of null. We just want to give them a placeholder, right? That they can have an identification of what the hell they want to do, but not necessarily an option that they can select. So we'll set it to disabled and selected, funny enough. And we're going to set that option to select make. Right? Sweet. So here's select make. They can't select it again after they choose something, but it still gives them an indication of what the hell they need to do. Awesome. So let's make our next one. We're just gonna copy this then, right? Because I'm lazy. And format that model. Now don't get model mixed up with this model, right? Okay, this is just the model of a car, right? Model of car. Okay, so this V model, just like the make, is going to be linked to another model here. And we'll just evaluate that on initialization to null, which is fine. And we'll change this to model. And make options is going to be model options, right? There we go. We're working as a team now, you see? All right. Good job, team. And this is going to be an object, okay? It's not going to be an array of objects. This we're going to make an object because we want each of the keys in this object to match the text, or actually, excuse me, match the ID of each object in this array, right? So here's how we're going to do that. We're just going to set the first key in this object to 1, right? And then we're going to say the value of that key for this object is equal to an array of objects. And then we're going to set that equal to the same kind of thought process, and Honda makes chords. And these IDs can be specific to this specific array of objects. So this is just going to have an ID of 1. Okay. And this is going to be where we make our next object. So I'll keep these on 2 lines. Oh, shit. I know it's going to bother me too. It's fine. I know. It's going to bother me too. I hear you. So we're just going to build this, right? So this first ID, we're just building the data now. I'm going to do this in a second. You're going to see how it all ties together. This ID is going to match the first key in this object, and that key, the value of that key is equal to this array of objects, right? Just two. That's all we need to show what we need to show. So what we're going to do after that is that completes our first key value pair inside this object. So then we're going to set this to 2. We're going to create another one. This is going to be, oh, whoops, did I do that? Okay. This is going to be our text. And Toyotas, they make Camrys. Do they? Sure, Toyota Camry, whatever. And these IDs can be the same, right? Because they're specific to that scope. So we'll make our next one, which is going to be text. Whoops. And what else do they make? Corollas. Okay, it's bothering me. I know. I'll fix it. Easy. Just like that. Alright, 2 more. Just for the sake of completion. Because we have 4 here, right? So, we'll set that. We'll set our boom, boom, boom. And this is Ultima, right? Shit. ID 1. And text is going to be, I don't know what the fuck a Zook is, but that's what I have in my notes. So we're going to go with the Zook. Okay. And then what is next? The Suzuki. Definitely don't know Suzuki. So this is going to be, wait. No, I have to break it after the array. So let's do this properly. First object, text, Alto? Sure. Okay, and then Swift, sure. Sweet. So now each of these IDs are going to match up, and they're going to load the appropriate. Something doesn't look right. It's this stupid highlighting. Okay. No, something doesn't look right. Why is that indented like that? Okay. So it's just because it doesn't format it properly if it's not... Okay. Now it looks fine. Jeez. Gotta read it properly. Okay. So here's how we're gonna link these up, right? We made our same thing. We just duplicated this select down here, changed the model of car, changed the select model instead of make. So we're gonna change the name to model, right? Change the ID to model, and we already changed the view model to model. We changed that, that's good. We still want the option ID and the option text, okay? But what else we need to do is we need to bind, actually let's see if we can get around that. We're gonna do make option, or not make options, that's up there. What do we set it here? Model options. Yay, we did it. And then we're gonna pass in the value of make into here. Easy enough, right? So what that's going to do is, based off of this model, this value, which is going to change when the user selects from one of these, right? Actually, let's put this on. Yep, let me do it. Sweet. Just like I said I was going to do. Do it on init. No. What did I not copy properly? This. I need this? Really? No, I don't. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, bro. We're gonna do it on initialize. Self dot model options equals, can I do shift? No. Fuck. Okay. Sweet. So now we have our makes on top, right? Because that makes sense, goes here. And we put our model options underneath, because that's the second one. And this populates this populates this on the initialization method, which is called down here. Awesome. I like it. So when this changes, right, then what's going to happen is the V model for make is going to be updated from null to whatever they chose, say 1 for Honda, and then we're going to pass that in to the model options when we loop through this option to activate or to access this key, and then extract the values out of that key value pair inside this object, right? So let's see if we can make this work. Let's see if it is sweet. All right. So now, based off of what we chose here, Honda, Civic, Corolla, Zook, boom, it's gonna update. Awesome. So this is exactly the super basic setup that we need to do, just using the native elements and the for loop. So, or the for loop for Vue, right? To just loop through the options. So we could eventually set this up where, actually, let's do that now, right? So we're gonna set up form group, another one. We're gonna keep this down here for reference, right? So let's set up another form group. And let's make this actually how it should be, right? So if we do B4, actually I don't have this in my notes, so we're freeballing it, right? B4, let's do N, N in count. We'll send a count here to 2 rather. and then we're gonna steal this. We're gonna put this in here, right? Okay, now we're getting frisky. And we're gonna take this, select, and then we'll make this label for each, and make it the label. Oh shit. Do we want to do this right now? Can we? Yes. What do we want to do? I would need to add for the count. No, why do we need to do it in count? That's retarded. I don't even know why I thought to do that. We're just gonna do item in, make options. For each item in the make options, we're gonna do the select, and we're gonna extract the. No, but I don't need all of those. No, I'm going too far ahead of myself. We're gonna keep it as it is for now. Getting too much, because I need to create another part of the data object with a display name, and that's not what we're here to do right now. So nothing here. Make Honda, boom boom, boom boom boom, linked up, good to go. Basic setup with Vue, just bringing in Bootstrap, bringing in the Vue library. I think we used 2.7 or 2.5.17 beta, so easy as pie. No Webpack, no compiling, no hot reloading, no module exporting. You don't need that to do some stuff with Vue, and we're gonna expand on this next time and make something a little more robust. And we're still just gonna utilize the same Vue. We're not gonna add any of the other extra build time and compile stuff. So I hope you learned something, and it was educational, because some of these things took a little bit longer for me to grasp than others, and it would have been nice just to see really relationally walking through how everything relates to each other, rather than just trial and error and just figuring it out as you go, which most of the time is all the fun, or at least half the fun. But sometimes when you gotta make stuff move or want to get over some hurdles, you need to just dig down and make it happen. So I will catch y'all on the flip side.